Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this video. This is about Altria, ticker symbol MO. When I checked online today, it had a market cap of 75.527 billion. That's wherever I got that. The beta is 0.69. PE ratio, for those that are interested, is 11.20. Earnings per share, $3.80, $3.80. The current dividend right now is 98 cents. It just went up. They own Black and Mild, and they own Marlboro. The current yield, depending on which place you look, was 9.31 or 9.21. Is it a good stock? I looked on a website that claimed they have raised their dividend for the last 14 years. Someone said that they liked Altria. I can understand why. I like betas of less than 1, and it's got a 0.69 beta. PE ratio of 11.20 for those of you who are interested. The earnings per share of $3.80 is doable. They raised their dividend to 98 cents. It used to be 94 cents. Is it a solid company? Yes. Are they diversifying away from cigarettes? Yes. Marlboro and Black and Mild might be a couple of their brands, but if you also look, they have smokeless tobacco, and at one time I believe they had Kraft Foods. I think they spun it off for their shareholders. It's still, they're diversifying away from just smoking regular cigarettes. They do have a lot in the United States. Marlboro is a popular brand of cigarettes. Philip Morris is pretty popular in the United States and other places. Is it a solid dividend producer? Yes. Does it meet the 5% or higher yield? Yes. If you buy stock in what used to be called Philip Morris, now it's called Altria, however you pronounce it. I don't smoke, I don't know. So if you take a look at it, 9%. I like 10%. But 9.1, 9.3, that's real close. And the fact that they continue to raise their dividends annually, yeah. I can see why a lot of people want that particular stock. Marlboro cigarettes is popular in the United States and other countries. Black and Mild, I know people who smoke Black and Mild. Personally, I don't smoke. But is it solid? All the information that I gathered on Marlboro, Black and Mild, and Altria makes it look like a really good stock. At this time, my disclaimer is I don't own any shares right now. I have looked at it in the past, and it's becoming a better and better stock to buy. Some people don't want to buy it because it's got cigarettes as a main staple. And if you have a moral objection to Black and Mild, and you have a moral objection to smoking Marlboro cigarettes, I can understand why you don't want to invest in it. But as far as the dividend and yield, it's a decent yield. They've made a commitment to continually raise the dividend every year. They've done that for the last 14 years. It's a lot better than a 1.2% yield. Some people want, it's got to take this 3%er. And when you just buy it when it's only 3%. And it's going to go up, and then you don't know what you're doing if you buy a high yield stock. If it's a high yield stock and they increase the dividends, okay. As long, my bar for stock is like 5%, and that's almost double. And I feel, in my understanding, I feel that it's going to go over a 10% yield at some point if they continue to raise the yield. The other thing is for the equity investors, it seems to me that the equity continues to increase in this particular stock. So, the increase for those people who are equity investors, I'm not looking at equity, it's something that I notice. So people who want a balanced approach versus just an income approach, I focus on the income predominantly. I would rather have a high yield and then have the flat, and it doesn't matter to me if the price is flat or if it dips down a little bit. I'm not looking at that. But for equity investors, yeah. Equity investors can buy the stock and see their equity value over time, in my opinion, will rise. In my opinion, it's going to rise some more. They have different, it's been rising for the last several years. According to my understanding, it has been. If I misunderstood, I misunderstood. But my understanding is for equity investors, they're increasing the value annually. I don't know if it's 3-4% or 7-8-9%. Because I'm not an equity investor, I don't really focus on that. But if you're an equity investor and a high dividend yield investor, it checks both boxes, as you might say. Except for it's not. I consider 10% a high yield stock. But the fact is 9.3 or 9.1% right now, and the fact that it's continually going up in value, is it a good stock to purchase? If you don't have any moral qualms about the fact that they sell cigarettes and what they call blunts, cigars, is Black and Mild is, I believe, a cigar, or what is commonly known as a blunt. So if you don't have anything against that, then it hits the other, it checks the other boxes. It's a high yield stock, or close to a high yield stock. It will get the threshold at 10% at some point, I would believe, unless the value keeps going up to the point where it's smaller. But if you get in now, before it increases in value, your 9.3% will go up and up and up, because you lock in that lower price, and it will exceed 10% at some point if you purchase it now. At the rate, what I mean by that is if you purchase it and the stock raises a dividend, it goes from 9.3. You're locked in at that price, so it'll probably reach 10%. I don't know whether it's going to be a year or two, but I expect that yield is going to go up to 10% at some point. And if the sooner you buy the stock, the more of a yield you get, because it will continue to increase its yield, according to what I read on their website. So they made a commitment, and they've kept it for the last 14 years, that they're increasing the yield on the stock. They're increasing the dividend. So if you don't have any qualms that it's a cigarette company and you want something that's a high yielder stock, it will eventually be the high yield stock that I look at, which is 10% or above. But if you just want, if the minimum for me is 5%, so it's almost double that. So it's not, as far as a stock with an increasing yield, it's a lot better than these 1% and 2% and 3% stocks that are jokes to me. You hold them long enough, you'll hold it for 30 years and you'll be happy. I wonder what will happen if you hold Altria for 30 years. Provided that they do diversify into other things away from cigarettes, I see that stock is going to go up in price. So if you have any questions, yeah, someone had mentioned that I like Altria. So this video is dedicated to that person, that you like Altria. I did a video on it for you, like I did My Very Real Lady, MVRL. I did one for her on that, and I'm doing one for her on this. But if you have any questions, if I miss something, like you said the beta, what is a beta? Beta 0.69 means it's a stable stock. If the market goes up or down, it follows the market times 0.69. A beta of 1 does exactly what the market does. A beta of less than 1 is more stable. So I look at low beta. Beta, the entire stock market altogether has a beta of 1. If it has a lower beta than 1, when the stock market goes up, it goes up 0.69% tracking the market. And if it goes down, it's 0.69 tracking the market. I like low betas. I think Kraft had low beta. Okay, any questions, put them down below. Hit like, subscribe, and share this video as much as you can. I'll see you next time, probably from Studio B.